what's happened now, and as I'm going to jump forward, is a completely different system. In Greece now, you do not have the studio system, and the intellectuals, they're starting to change. But for many, many years, they had contempt for the studio system. They said, oh, that was just entertainment, that was just commercial, they just wanted to make money. We're artists. And so they made these movies, which are very artistic. And it reminds me of a poetry reading. I don't know if you ever go to everybody goes to open poetry readings and everybody gets up and says their poem, and most of them are pretty awful. I mean, they're very personal, but they're just awful. Maybe one or two are good. And that's what happens to Greek films now. They're so idiosyncratic, they're so individualistic, that the vast majority of them are practically unwatchable. My wife will tell me, we're going to a Greek movie, oh, you know, and she kind of cringes. I'll say, no, this is a good one. And here's the problem. In America, you have maybe 400, 500 movies made a year. If 10% of them are good, that's 40 good movies. In Greece, they make 10 to 30 movies. So if 10% are good, that's 1 to 3. And so actually, the level of Greek film isn't all that bad, because the percentage that are really good is as good or maybe better than the United States. But the ones that are bad, they're really dreadful. I can't imagine. Sometimes you see these movies. I shouldn't be saying it's got a film festival coming up. And you say, has this person ever seen a movie? You know, the person who made, don't they know you don't do that? It drives me crazy. And I used to go to the film festival every year, and the Greeks go, what do you think of that film? I said, it's amateur hour, you know. What do you think you're doing? And then there'd be really good ones. I said, how could it be that the same culture can produce this here and all this other stuff over there? And part of that is because of the auteur theory. The director in Greece is king. And what happens in the studio system, it's more a collaborative art. The director is important, but so are the stars, so is the scriptwriter. Everybody's important. In Greek cinema, the director is important. And they write their own scripts. And by the way, most directors can't write. So you already start off with a guy, if he's a good director, that's terrific. And to be a good scriptwriter, the same person, and to be a good editor, and sometimes they put themselves in the movies, so you're a good actor, a good director, a good... Doesn't happen, and so most of the films fall apart. Just think of Kazan. Kazan did not write most of his films. In fact, his best films were written by somebody else. But Schoberg for On the Waterfront, John Steinbeck for Zapata, and almost all the various films were written by other people. The 2 films he wrote himself, America, America, and what's it called? Not The Outsider, I can't. The other one are not very well written. America, America is good in spite of the script, and probably if you had a better script, it would have been an even better movie. But it overcame its script. There's a film festival coming, I think, starting today. Yes. And I've seen some of the films. If you go to see a film called Attenberg, this is very typical of modern Greek cinema. It's, I think, very pretentious. It's full of cute editorial things. It could be any country in the world. It doesn't have to be Greece. It's aimed at film festivals, and it's aimed at an international audience. They don't. The filmmaker doesn't really care if Greeks come see this film. The other ones you'll see that I've seen that they're going to show is called Plato's Academy, which is more interesting, and it's about these 3 slackers, these 3 Greek slackers in Athens, and their neighborhood is being invaded by Albanians, and the Albanians are working real hard. And so you have these Greek slackers who represent Hellenism looking at these Albanians who are doing a better job. And it's quite funny. I don't think it's quite as successful as people think it is, but it's certainly a credible film, and it gives you that tension between the local guys and these foreigners coming. And there's a really funny thing about the Chinese who come in and how they work. You see the contrast between the Chinese workers and the Greek workers. But it's done in the lovable fashion. It isn't some outsider sneering at the Greeks. he's looking at this and saying, here are these people, they lived in this neighborhood for 100 years, and suddenly these other people show up, and who gets what territory, what's the relationship going to be, and so forth. And of course, one of the Greeks who sneers at the Albanians finds out that he's an Albanian himself, that his mother was an Albanian but married a Greek, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of interesting.